Full disclosure, I'm going to talk a little bit of shit about people right now. So first, let's sort out who I'm talking about. If you've ever heard someone talk about how they're in an abusive relationship and they haven't left, and you say to them, why don't you just leave? It's you. You are who I'm talking about. So why don't some people just leave if they're in an abusive relationship? If it's so bad, why do they stay? Google is free, but let's get into it. Let's even put aside some of the more obvious reasons that people stay. The most publicized stat about domestic violence relationships is that it's more dangerous when you try to leave. Women are 500 times more likely to be unalived when attempting to leave. 500. You heard that, right? Let's put aside the fact that abusers tend to control the money and victims don't even have access to be able to leave. Let's put aside the guilt, the children, the fear. Put it all aside. Having people tell you that they don't understand why you don't just leave is a major contributor to why people stay. It is the overwhelming shame that victims feel for having stayed, for having fallen for it in the first place, for not having seen the abuser for who they are sooner. So to be crystal clear, you're asking a question about why they stay that causes them to stay. So how can a simple question make someone stay? I wonder how people who ask that question think the conversation will go. Is it like this? If he's abusive, why don't you just leave? Well, I don't have any money, and every time I try to leave, he threatens to take his own life. Okay, so get a job. And honestly, if he takes his own life, that's his problem. You're not to blame for that. He hasn't let me work in 12 years. I don't have any skills. And every single day he tells me that everything is my fault. If you watch that little scenario and you think you can solve her problem, you are dead wrong. If you don't work because your abuser won't let you, you can't just get a job. You can't just skip the he won't let her part. The truth is the situation is different for everyone. Maybe he will let you get a job, but then he'll call your work and show up repeatedly and it'll cause you to lose your job. That's her punishment for getting a job, by the way. And that's just one example. When you shift the focus from the perpetrator to the victim, it discourages victims from coming forward because they're terrified to be blamed and to feel stupid. If you have a they should have known better mentality, walk me through how they should have known. Draw me a map. How were they supposed to learn? Who was supposed to teach them? Society normalizes abusive and toxic relationships everywhere we look. And abusers, they use a multitude of abuse tactics to keep their victim with them. Over time, they break you. I think that victim blamers need to blame the victim. You need for the victim to be stupid enough to have stayed, so that you can pretend that you're smart enough that it would never happen to you. But the truth is, it can happen to anyone.